CKGSB, China's only not-for-profit independent business school.
When you exert power over somebody, they get angry and they get emotional. It's not valuing their emotions to exert power over them. Whereas if you value their emotions, they're more grateful. And so that's how you want to do it. People are individuals, they're emotional individuals, they have their own series of perceptions, and most of the time people are pushing other people to do what they want instead of saying, what are your needs that I can meet, and in return you'll meet mine. It's a much different way of interaction. For example, let's use one on the world stage. Which is better, calling Putin Hitler or saying, you're right to be concerned about Russian speakers? The second one will get him to the table, whether I agree with him or not. So an emotional payment gets somebody to the table. An emotional payment is when my child is upset and crying, I say, you're right to cry. Crying is a good thing to do, and the child will then open up to me. It's a way of looking at the world from their point of view. Once you do that, life is about the trade. It's about what you trade, and I say you can trade anything. You can trade a discount for helping somebody's daughter with their homework. You can trade a recommendation for a restaurant for a better relationship. So all the billion synapses people have are open to trade. This is not a Pollyanna model, and so there's no room for hardball tactics, but there is room for dealing with hardballers. So if somebody's a hardballer, I want to say, why are you a hardballer? Did you want my cooperation? Did you want me to give you the best that I have? How does beating me up get you that? The second thing is, and this is one thing I brought from journalism, is to find their standards. Find the things that they proclaim for themselves that they do and show them how they're contradicting their standards. What statements of theirs have they contradicted? Do they have certain practices, whether it's employment practices, practice of dealing with others that are fair. And I want to invoke those with hard bargainers. One of the best dealers with hard bargainers in the world in history was Gandhi. Gandhi took the jewel in the crown from the British Empire, India, without ever raising his voice for a weapon. He just said, England says it's the world's most civilized country. How does that compare with the killing of innocent women and children in India? And England could not withstand the weight of world opinion and lost India. That's an example of using their standards with hard bargainers. I very much disagree with the notion that there's a Chinese or American way of negotiating. There's hundreds of millions, billions of people in each place. Negotiations are conducted individual by individual. It doesn't matter what the macro culture is. It only matters what you and I talk about together. Can we make a connection? Do we value our families? Do we care about making tomorrow better? And so it's that connection that matters. Reagan's connection with Gorbachev was so good that the Soviet Union ceased to exist, for example, and the Cold War ended. That had nothing at all to do with Americans versus Russians. It was two individuals talking to one another. And that's a pretty good model of what should go on here. So the connection that Obama can make with the Chinese leaders is much more important than any reputation either country has. We've done lots of cultural studies, and we find that microculture is more important than macroculture. I said to Google Women that I gave a speech to 2 months ago, there are probably 50 microcultures in the room more important than gender. I'm the mother of a small child. I like to play golf. I like the theater. That's where you make the connection. So it's one by one, individual by individual. That again, macrocultures are interesting for social, political, and economic studies. They're irrelevant one-on-one. Family is much more important than macroculture.